Hello, ladies and genitals. Welcome to hopefully a video. God, I've had some bad luck over the last few days, really, with recording. Tried to record a few vlogs and they've all failed. So I had a few that the card crashed in the memory card, and I had one where I tried to record it yesterday and the camera was basically pointing at the floor, so there was no point. Today, basically, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you guys how to tune a Lectron carb. So this will be new to you guys. Those of you that have been following my channel will assume that I have this carb. This is a 34mm Delauto. It is the metal top version, which means that it has the racing slide insert and it is also a flat slide. So let me show you that now. So this obviously is a flat slide. Now if you get the plastic top, it's not a real flat slide, it's got these sort of inserts and it's rounded at the top. This carb is way better than the plastic version. If you ever see someone selling the metal top and you're thinking about getting a 34, get the metal top, it is a lot better. I've tested both and this one is so much better. So yeah, that was the carb that I've been using for a while. Very, very, very good carb, but I've just put that on the wrong way. But yeah, I've done a deal with one of my mates, and we're basically carb swapping. So he bought a 38mm Lectron carb, which I will show you in a moment, and he'd like this. So, you know, if I could actually screw this on. So yeah, I've gone up to a 38mm from a 34, and this is also a Lectron carb, and that was a Delauto. A lot of people probably won't have heard of Lectron. They're an American company. Their carbs are completely jetless. That doesn't mean that you've got to go and buy the jets when you buy it. It means that the carb has no jets in it. For those of you that are aware of how a normal carburetor works, you have a pilot jet which controls the low speed, from pretty much idle to a third of your throttle is mainly controlled by the idle jet. And then once you get over a third throttle, the most of it's controlled by the needle height, which is a mid-range RPM. And then at full throttle, or 3/3 to full throttle, is controlled by the main jet. So, you know, if you're getting low RPM issues, if it's not idling properly, it's most likely your pilot. If you're having mid-range issues when you're opening the throttle, it's usually the needle height. And if you're having top-end issues, if it's not revving out, if it's feeling like it's running out of fuel, then that is your main jet. In this carb, basically it works off a needle, much like a normal carb, but the needle is actually flat on one side and has got a bit of a weird taper on it. I will show you in a minute because I'm slowly stripping the bike as I'm talking. This basically replaces the pilot circuit in the carb. So instead of having a pilot jet, you have this needle. Instead of replacing the jets to go richer, you normally go higher on the jet. You make this rod shorter. Someone's talking outside. You basically change the length of the needle to adjust the low end mixture. And I've just filled up, so this is pretty heavy. I have to do this, by the way, because the diaphragm in my carb is bust. For those of you that are wondering, and it's massive ball aches, his mole grips are completely useless. So I lose a lot of fuel every time I do this. And I'm too much of an idiot to buy one of those clip-on connector things, which I should probably do, and I might order tonight. So here is the carb anyway. It's a bit weird looking at the carb. It's actually a billet carb instead of a cast aluminium carb. So that's obviously, that was a casting. This was made out of one piece. Well, actually, it was made out of two pieces of aluminium, and they were bolted together. which is why it's a billet carb, those of you familiar with manufacturing. So yeah, the pilot circuit on this is replaced by a tapered needle, which you adjust the height of, the length of, sorry, to control how much fuel is being delivered at low RPMs, and then the main jet has been replaced by a power jet, which is an adjustable screw in a hole basically that you can open up to increase the fuel flow at max throttle, and yeah, that's basically how it works. So I'll show you a picture of the power jet. So there's basically a tube sticking out, so when the throttle slide reaches above that tube, it starts taking effect. It's about 50% throttle, and it basically just chucks a load of fuel in like a main jet would. But it's adjustable. This screw here, basically, I can screw it in to reduce the amount of fuel, I can screw it out to increase the amount of fuel. So I've had this carb on, this is day 2 of having this carb, and I've gone through several settings now. Gone through the ones that Lectron recommended, but because my bike's ported and everything, you know, they can't get it very close. They can get it sort of there. It was a little bit too lean, so I've richened it up a little bit, made the needle shorter and opened up the power jet. And I was still convinced it was a little bit lean. I did a plug chop yesterday and cut the threads off. I'll include a picture here of the plug chop, and I was sort of a bit uncertain about it. I was like, it looks okay, but the bike was heating up to temperature quite fast. What am I doing? I can't talk and work at all. So I've decided to richen it up some more tonight. I shortened the needle by half a turn and opened up the power jet from 1.5 turns to 2 turns, and it's now very, very rich. So I'm going to take the slide out and I'm going to show you how to adjust the needle and how I measured it, and yeah, basically how to tune your Lectron carb. Do not take, if you've got a Lectron carb and you don't have, you've got an RS, do not use my settings as an example of what you should be using on your bike. My RS is completely not standard. It's probably a completely different setup to yours. Do not copy my settings on any bike, because I don't want to be responsible for damaging your bikes if you have a Lectron carb. So here's the slide. Check it out. So it's a flat slide again, and here is the needle. I'm not sure how well this camera will pick it up. I will take pictures on my phone and show you guys after, and put it over the video if you can't see. So the needle that I'm using is a 32M. The 3 and the 2 basically something to do with this taper that's on here. The M is the length of it. So I also have a 32 XL, which is an extra long, and they basically act as different ranges. So if you can't jet it with this, then you go up with an extra long one. So I need to make this 1/4 of a turn longer, so I need a few tools for that. So first of all, I'm going to use some digital calipers just to measure the length of the rod. Now, apologies for those of you in the UK. I am from the UK. We do use metric, but unfortunately Lectron are American, and they told me to do everything in inches, so I've been doing all the settings with the needle in inches just because it's just easier. You know, if I need to talk to them and I'll be like, oh, you know, I'm having this problem, it's still rich and it's, you know, the length's this. So just because it's an American carb and they use Imperial, I'm going to be measuring the needle length in inches as well. I've set it today from 2.022 inches down to 2.00995, I think. So we're just going to double measure. So maybe I measured it a bit. No, that's about right. So last time I measured it, it was 2.0995 or something like that. So yeah, it's about right. So we're going to make this 1/4 of a turn longer. So to do that, you need what they call their metering rod tool, which is basically just a little hole with a slot in it with a bit of a knurl, and it just goes on like that. And we're going to wind this out 1/4 of a turn. There we go. And then, because this flat is now facing away from this side, I've got to push up, spin it round, and drop it back into place. Because this flat here always has to be facing the engine, and if you don't know which side that is, this cutout edge here always faces the air filter. So you have the rounded part of the needle always facing the air filter, the flat side of the needle always facing the engine. Okay. So that's that. I will measure it because I don't know, you know, for future reference I keep track of all these things because I'm a weirdo. So this should have made this slightly longer. So there we go, it's made it about 30 thou longer. So it's now at 2 inches and 135 thou. So I need to write some sort of note of that, but I'll just remember it's 20135. It's quite hard doing this, you know, working on your bike and talking over everything you're doing at the same time. It takes a lot longer because you're having to explain everything, obviously. But yeah, I like to think I'm semi-decent when it comes to carbs. You know, I've only ever had one issue with jetting on this bike. You know, that was when I put the ported stuff on from the standard. I didn't rejet, and it ran super lean. And while we're here, I will check the spark plug, because before, literally all I did was I changed the settings. I went to the petrol station, came back just to test the jetting, and I cleaned the plug before I went. So I just want to have a look at that, and I think it's super rich. Well, I know it's super rich because I can just tell by riding it, but I just want to look at the plug to see how rich it is. And then I'm going to test these settings as well in a mo, and I will take the camera with me, because this carb is an absolute animal. It's been running what I consider to be on the edge of lean for the last 2 days, and I almost flipped it quite a few times on the way home from work. And any sort of hill or incline, and you rip the throttle back in first gear, and it's very hard to keep the front end down, very hard. It's quite fun. Right, so we've done the slide. It's now set at 2.0135 inches. So that should be a little bit leaner now. Now we need to do the power jet. So I set this to 2 turns out. So I'm going to screw it back in. When I do screws and things like this, I always do it in half turns because it's easier. So if I wanted it to be 2 turns out, I'd count to 4. So we're going to go all the way in and then back out 1.75. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the bottom now. So then we're going to back out 1.75. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 1.5. And then we're going to go 1/4. There we go. So that is roughly 1.75 turns out from the bottom. So that should have made that slightly leaner as well. So let me just check the spark plug, just to confirm my feeling that it was super rich, even though I'm pretty sure. But you know, I cleaned the spark plug with a wire brush before going out, so if it's running really rich, the chances are the spark plug's going to look pretty clean and not have much deposit on it. Yeah, look at that. You can see it's that is quite rich. The spark plug is black and wet, which, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's been running lean, and now I've found the limit of where it's rich, so I can work backwards. So it's not a bad thing. You know, I've got this bike's getting dynoed on Sunday. It's Friday night at the moment, so I've got all tomorrow to get it dialed in, and then Sunday is its big day. I've got to ride to Coventry, which is about 50 miles, so I want it relatively reliable, and I may adjust it on the dyno day, you know, just to lean it out slightly to get a bit of a higher reading. But you know, God knows what we could get. I got 30 last time with the standard box on, and that 34mm carb down there, and then taking the box off, fitted the ram air, and now added this carb. So, you know, whatever you think a ram air is worth, and apparently some people have told me that a jetted ram air can be worth up to 3 horsepower. And then, you know, this carb, the reviews of it are absolutely amazing. So I don't know. I'm not being over enthusiastic about it. I'm going to say 32, but you know, we could possibly see up to 35, I think, with this carb. The carb's a bit of an unknown. Not many people use Lectrons. They have been around for a while, but they're very expensive, and not many people know about them. Some motocross people do, but you know, there's not many people who run an RS with them. So I'm going to get the fuel tank back on now, and then I'm going to take it out for a ride, and I'll just start it up quick just to make sure that it's okay. Don't worry about me not using my key, it's not hotwired or anything. Oh shit, am I being pulled?